The destruction of Alderaan was one of the most defining moments in the Empire's history. Not only was it the first successful test of the new superweapon, it also demonstrated the true power that the Empire held and how they would react to any rebels that showed themselves. But how did the galaxy and the Empire itself react to this destruction of Alderaan? Shortly after the destruction of the planet, news about what happened soon spread like wildfire across the galaxy, as the Empire and citizens soon found out what happened. For many of the Imperials on board the Death Star, they thought that they blew up a planet that was uninhabited and that it housed no intelligent life. But after the destruction, news spread quickly as more began to grasp at what had just happened. As it blew up, many of the Imperials just stood there in complete shock while some cheered. Some of the Imperials on the Death Star were in fact from Alderaan, and this drove many of them to leave the Empire for the rebels. But shockingly enough, this made some of them even more loyal to the Empire, seeing as it was the only thing they had left in their life. And for some of the diehard Imperials, they would view as what had just happened as necessary for the Empire and would celebrate it. But for a vast majority of the Imperials aboard the Death Star, they were just shocked. And not even the Emperor himself found satisfaction in this. And in fact, he was very shocked about what has happened. And while he did give Tarkin the green light to destroy a planet, he never would in 1,000 years imagine he would destroy Alderaan, due to it being one of the core founders of the now extinct Republic, and it being incredibly important for many galactic affairs. Tarkin would do this to try and signify the power of the Empire, except this would backfire terribly as people across the galaxy started to see through the lies of the Empire and would start to rebel. And after the planet's destruction, thousands upon thousands would join the Rebel Alliance, and many systems and worlds would declare the rebellion against the Empire. In fact, many Imperial officers would also defect from the Empire and join the rebels, many of which were from Alderaan. And on Coruscant, riots would break out all over the planet's surface in mutiny against the Republic, especially on level 3204, which housed many immigrants from Alderaan. These riots would last for several days until the Empire finally stopped them by arresting many of those who protested. Realizing their major mistake, the Empire would try to cover it up by saying it was the rebels who blew it up and blame it on them, except very few, if any, would believe this. And after that cover-up failed, they said that it was actually Alderaan's fault that it blew up, due to them trying to create their own super weapon to challenge the Empire. But just like the time before, no one believed them. So to try and ease tensions, Palpatine would publicly state that he was deeply saddened by what had happened, and he would later go on to say that he'd be very happy to resettle all of the 60,000 surviving Alderaanians to his private planet where they could regroup. And this would be carried out to some extent, but sometime later, Palpatine would try to justify the planet's destruction once again by broadcasting that Senator Bail Organa was a rebel leader and that Alderaan was a safe haven for many rebels. He also tried to further justify it by revealing that the rebels on Alderaan were creating chemical weapons to be used against the Empire. And shockingly enough, many of this was in fact true, but they had no real way of proving their point due to there being nothing left of the planet or any evidence. But true or not, the people did not care and still rebelled. And while the destruction was a complete failure on the Empire's end, the rebels saw this as their perfect opportunity to rally the galaxy against the Empire. They would use the planet's destruction as propaganda and motivation to fight back against the Empire, and this would be a complete success as so many people joined their cause. And they would further gain support after they eventually destroy the first Death Star, proving that the seemingly indestructible Empire was actually weak. And after the destruction of Alderaan, many people native to the planet would visit the remains of the planet, which would later be named as the Graveyard, and would try to get some closure there. And after the fall of the Empire, it was stated by many historians that the destruction of Alderaan was probably the Empire's biggest mistake, as it only strengthened the rebel movement and quickened the Empire's fall. This really goes to show that the Empire became so focused on proving their power that they failed to see what possible repercussions would be. But anyway, that is how the galaxy reacted to the destruction of Alderaan and how it was one of the main reasons they fell. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you'd be on the Empire side or the Rebel side and why. And with that, my fellow Star Wars nerds, may the Force be with you.